Good evening, and welcome to the October 10th, 2022 Mason City Council meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask for roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Nelson.
Here.
Councilmember Chance. Councilmember Bradburn.
Present.
Councilmember Hackey.
Here.
Councilmember Grossman. Here. Councilmember Stricula.
Here.
Mayor Spade.
Here. I'm going to ask everyone to stand, and we'll have the pledge. All right, thank you. We're on to item 4, which I need a motion to approve the minutes from the September 20th council meeting, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Item 5, city manager's report. Eric?
Thank you, Mayor. I do have several items here. First of all, just want to acknowledge the city's new dog park opened just 2 hours ago. Palmyra Dog Park, located at the Mason Sports Park. We're able to have a bit of a ribbon cutting ceremony there with council and guests. Especially gratified there were a number of surprisingly dogs that came to the opening of the dog park, so that was nice. And perhaps even nicer for dogs as well as other residents, the city has been getting quite a bit of attention here in the last week and a half. We've gotten accustomed to ranking in the top 10 of several lists, and I still feel a bit cheated because I always think we are number one. They're just failing their math. But it was nice to have a new entry there. Fortune magazine ranked the city the 4th best place to live for families in the country. And that was the only community that was in the top 25 in the state of Ohio, and number 4th in the nation. If we're going to be cheated to have number 1, it's not bad to be at number 4. Several of the items that were reference points for them in that ranking were things that you would expect. The city's culture of wellness was, I think, specifically a draw for the way they were doing the rankings, but also Red Rhythm Boom, the new aquatic center, our partnership with the community center, the schools, obviously, a general impression with both the financial health of the city and the livability of the amenities that we offer. So congratulations to council, to our residents, to our business community for hitting number 4 for best place to live for families. This time of year, City Council typically authorizes the purchase of holiday gift cards for city employees. In the past couple of years, we've been fortunate in order to come up with a mechanism through the Yifty gift card to provide those gift cards to city employees significantly in a fashion that directs that gift to be spent with local Mason businesses. If council would like to again offer that to all city employees, a motion would be appropriate.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you.
Similarly, with supporting local businesses, we talked last meeting about October being International Coffee Month and celebrating the coffee shops and florist shops in the city of Mason. Looking forward to November, we're doing a Shop Small Holiday Passport to encourage the community to support small businesses as part of their holiday purchasing. The notion here that community members who patronize 5 small businesses from each sector, that would be food and beverage, retail, service, self-care, and hobbies, can submit that passport and then be entered into a drawing for some Come Together Mason gift cards. Those are available on the city's website at imaginemason.org beginning November 1st. And we hope that many residents will take advantage of that, as well as the gift cards that will pay back the community. The Historical Society is, once again, has become a very popular event. Their annual cemetery walk is scheduled for tomorrow at 7 p.m. across the street at Rose Hill Cemetery. I know that tickets are still available through the Historical Society Museum. Another event coming up this Saturday that has grown in popularity, this will be the 8th annual Mason Corporate Challenge 5K Run Walk held at the Grizzly Golf and Social Lodge. That is a unique and has grown into a very favorite event, both for residents and significantly for corporations. It is an opportunity for companies and our residents to associate with each other out on the golf course. There's also some friendly competition between the businesses, and all in an effort to give back to the community. Funds that are raised by that go to each business selects their preferred nonprofit, and the dollars raised for that go to that. Entrants also get a t-shirt, of course, but they also receive a Come Together Mason gift card to help bring some of those dollars into the community. Since the program launched in 2015, over $100,000 has been contributed to the different nonprofits that our corporations have chosen. I was out at one of our newer businesses just today with Brian Laser, and can tell that they're turning up the competition. They had some signs out recruiting their employees for their team. So I think Brian's leading an effort to redouble our team here at the City of Mason to get some folks out. Also, a couple of other partnerships. The Mason Deerfield Chamber is hosting their Gyms of Excellence Awards Night. That's going to be on Thursday, October 25th at 5:30 p.m. at the Manor House here in Mason. They will be announcing their annual award winners. Any council members that are interested in attending, please let Jennifer know. And then want to announce one of our newer partners that we're working with. Also suits several of our other interests. Currently, the Mason Symphony Orchestra is presenting a sensory-friendly children's concert. That's on Sunday, October 30th, 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. at the Mason United Methodist Church. They're having a variety of events focused both on children as well as children that have special sensory-sensitive souls, is how they call them. A lot of activities there. We are working with them to find some ways where those events also correspond with activities we're involved in via the community center, obviously McKeno Park and other efforts. Anyone that's interested, encouraged to visit masonsymphonyorchestra.org. Two other items in your packet was information on Mason City Schools requesting a waiver of permits. The city obviously has different permit fees for construction, and the schools are doing some expansion specifically at the MECC school, and are asking for about $11,000 in permit fees to be waived by the city. We have done that in the past. We share a lot of the same taxpayer base, and while we do incur cost for those inspections, this is a way to help save both the school district taxpayers' dollars as well as Mason residents. If council would like to waive this specific request, a motion would be in order.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you.
And then lastly, it may be appropriate now while we're making motions, there was a recommendation from the Arts Committee that I know council's had an opportunity to discuss. It may be appropriate for any motions to that to be made now.
Mayor,
Yes.
can I make a motion, please? I'd like to make a motion to declare that the Gould property is no longer the preferred site for the Mason Regional Center for the Arts. In identifying State Route 741 and 42, the Gateway property, as the preferred site, and authorizing the city manager to pursue related agreements.
Okay, you're making the motion?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Is there any council discussion?
Mayor, can I speak real quick?
Yes.
The reason that we chose this location instead of the Gould property, well, first of all, let me back up a minute. We heard you guys, we heard you speak. The Arts Committee was, before we even really got far into this, we identified the Gould property as an option. We wanted to hear from you, so we held the meeting to hear from the residents of downtown and whose property surrounded it. And it was obvious that we did not get positive feedback from that. And I just want to let you know we listened to you. We are your council members, and we do care about the quality of life that you're living here in Mason, and it's our responsibility to listen. So we went back to the drawing table, and we identified this particular location because it has good access to 75 and 71. The infrastructure is already in place. It's an industrial area, and so this particular land will, with the beautification of their arts park that they're wanting to do, when you come into the city of Mason, instead of seeing all industrial buildings, you will see this beautiful arts park with the Regional Center for the Arts kind of tucked away behind it. The walking paths, the biking paths, it's a huge benefit because, of course, you can spend the day with your family walking up to this to see the arts park, to go to one of the plays or the broadcasting rooms or the photography rooms or look at the art. It just seemed to be a little bit more friendly of an area for the arts park. There are no houses directly surrounding it, so that will be good, so no one has to see the lights or the parking spots. So that is why we changed, and now we're requesting this location.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else want to make a comment?
Mayor,
Yes.
so not a comment for myself specifically, but Councilmember Chance couldn't be here tonight. He actually asked me to read a statement from him, if that's appropriate now.
Yes.
Guess I'll do this. Good evening. I'm sorry I was unable to be here tonight. My kids are on fall break, and we are on a previously planned RV trip in Gatlinburg. In spite of my absence, I certainly want to express my opinion on this topic. I was one of the committee members that called the special meeting to discuss removing Gould property as the preferred site for the Regional Arts Center. On February 28th of this year, a motion was passed with 7 affirmative votes instructing city staff to start the process of determining if Gould property was an appropriate site. Per common practice, the city staff was required to exercise due diligence directed by council. Part of this process included discussing the proposal with the Gould family, scheduling meetings to listen to the public, and understanding our boundaries associated with this property. It has always been the city's intentions to honor the deed restrictions, and this is precisely why city staff initially reached out to the executor of the Gould, for the Gould family, After staff's initial discussions with the executor, they felt that there might be reason to move forward with public hearings. After receiving public feedback, we determined it was necessary to pivot and figure out a different solution for the Regional Arts Center. And this is what we did. We listened to the community, mostly made up of the folks contiguous to the Gould property. In my humble opinion, we have come up with a more viable location that will meet the needs for something this city is craving, the arts. Contrary to some belief, I am personally thrilled that we've come to this conclusion. In full transparency, I've been in agreement with my neighbors all along on this subject, but as a member of council, I had to fully consider this option in spite of my personal interest. I'm extremely proud of this council for following the process, listening to our constituents, and coming up with a solution that can help facilitate the advancement of the arts in our community. I'm open to have a conversation with anyone that has further questions or concerns. Please feel free to reach out via the city email, and I will make myself available to meet with you. Sincerely, Ashley Chance.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Yes, Councilmember Grossman.
I appreciate the civility in the comments from Member Chance and Vice Mayor Nelson. And I just want to make a couple statements of clarification. The motion has been made, and Vice Mayor Nelson has cast the vision for the potential for the arts and arts park and arts center to go at this location at 741 and 42. But City Manager, could you explain a little bit or expand on that right now it's just a vision cast and where we're at right now and steps that would have to take place moving forward? So it's not set in stone yet at this point, but okay, you give us a little more feedback on that to add to it.
Yeah, at the risk of being premature, because you've not adopted the motion yet, but presuming you adopt that motion, what that does is it says that any efforts towards the Gould we're not pursuing those efforts, which is similar to what we discussed at our last meeting, and we would be pivoting towards similar discussions with the Arts Council, who is the partner on this. We would reach out to them. We would look for opportunities, interest in this particular parcel. What I would envision is, you haven't committed to anything via that motion except pursuing agreement, which is where we were before. I would anticipate it could be a more facilitated process to take initial steps on this property, which would essentially be some tool that we'd be working with the law director on to indicate that property would be available, that we would not commit that to other uses for a certain period of time, to allow them to fundraise, to go through steps they need to. We need to see their business plan, get a deeper understanding of how they're financially situated, to understand some of then what would anticipate as benchmarks as they fundraise, as they pursue construction. You would ultimately need some other agreements there, or understandings as far as what those benchmarks and timeframes would be, and what timeframes for checking in and oversight of what type of designs they would come up with. The approach here, and I think it's important to point out, is that this is a partner. We're essentially at this point, and if it comes to fruition, providing property for another entity to build an amenity for the community. Further commitments beyond the property and kind of that definition would need attention from council, and have not, I don't have anything on those. Nothing's been proposed or anticipated.
Okay, and has the Arts Council, well, I know the answer to this question, but I'm asking you, has the what is the position of the Arts Council on this location currently?
They are interested in continuing discussions. I cannot speak for the Arts Council Board. I don't know that they've done their due diligence, but with initial contact we had, they are interested in pursuing discussion on this property.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, anyone else want to make a comment? Okay, I just want to say that I am definitely in favor of this motion, because I know a lot of people were frustrated with our consideration of the Gould property, and I just want to say, unfortunately, government is government, and everything is a process. So sometimes we can't come to the conclusions immediately like some people would hope that we would do. We did listen to you all, and we did come to that conclusion that we did not want to pursue that. I do know that I think I said something at the last meeting, that if the citizens in our community did not want it on the Gould property, we would not pursue it there, and so that's where we are now. So I'm thankful that we're here today, and we're going to move on from the Gould property. So that is all I have to say, and I guess I'm going to ask for a roll call on this, please.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spade?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Okay, on to, oh, I'm sorry, do you have anything else, Eric?
No, I'm sorry, that's all I had.
Okay, thank you very much. On to item 6 was the Mason Mile update, and I believe the representative that was supposed to attend tonight is unable to, so we will have that at our next meeting. I'm going to item 7, which is recognition of visitors. And just a reminder to everyone, our council rules states that you get 5 minutes, unless the council members want to make a motion to change that time. I don't know, do we have a sign-up sheet? Or, oh, okay. Okay, well, we don't really need to use that, do we? Okay. So is there anyone that wanted to come forward? If so, just come to the podium and state your name and your address, and let us know what you came to say. Yes, please come forward.
Hi, my name is Liz Eichler, and I am at 5877 Running Fox Lane. I appreciate your concern and your the way you addressed the Gould Park property. It was not a place to have such a large facility that the Arts Council suggested, and thank you for doing that. However, 2 things about that. It would be a lovely place to have a park, but I feel that I was listened to when I made some comments. My background is in the arts. I've been involved in all sorts of, from professional to collegiate to community. I've been around a lot of theaters, and I think that the partnership that has been proposed, I'm not confident in an arts council that has messaging issues already, that I'm thinking, I would love to see the facility in that location. I think that there has to be outside consultants to look at the need to have a feasibility study in just, can this area support the idea that they were putting out? Again, someone mentioned that the Warren County Arts Council had a run at this and came up with I don't think it can can happen. I've been around a lot of theaters, and the worst thing you could do is have a lot of empty seats. I don't know if the particular Arts Council, which is exactly the same Arts Council, or the same leadership of the Children's Theater, I don't know if they have the professional skills to manage this. So that's my professional opinion. I don't know if I would want to take this on. It's a lot, but I would love to see it happen, and I would, more importantly, I would love to see it successful and not a waste of our tax dollars. I think going in, knowing that theaters don't support themselves. They don't. If you're looking for and you really have to go in with a business plan. And I really hope that you find an outside consultant, not in that Arts Council that is probably looking at its own interests, because it's the same as the other board. So that is all I have to say. I love living in Mason. I've lived here for 15 years, and thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else like to come to the podium? Yes.
Hi, Lori Shue Trump, 5347 Wheatmore Court. Thank you for removing the Gould Park from your conversations. I appreciate honoring the contract, as you say. I would also like to strongly ask you to budget and move forward with the 2004 master plan that was originally discussed. And I would also like the Gould property removed from the Mason Mile project. We moved here to Mason, especially in the school system, the Birchwood Farms area, because of the 10 cul-de-sac. So I appreciate that it was removed from this particular project. I wanted hands-off for any other development other than what it was originally intended for. If we're ranked number 4 and we don't have a regional arts center, I think that speaks volumes to the community that we have as the way it is. I'm all about development. I support the arts. I 100% support the woman that just spoke. I agree, this Mason Arts, Regional Arts Center seems to be a personal project of an individual that wants to get going. Have you asked the residents? Have you asked the residents, do you want a regional arts center here? Because I agree, what are the finances? How is this going to be supported? Have you done a feasibility study? Who's backing this financially? Do the residents want it? If we're ranked number 4 and we love the community the way we have always loved this community, you need to pay attention to that. I appreciate you listening to us the last couple times we met. You said you talked about it in February. You brought it to us in August. That seems to be a little bit of lapse in time to me. But it's really important that we continue to protect that property. You can say it's off right now. We want it to remain a park, and hands off any other project and ideas that might be coming up as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And also, just to that point, Eric, did you want to give an update about what's next with the Gould property so everyone knows what you're planning?
Well, given some of the input and kind of overlap of master plans and deed restrictions, we have been in dialogue with the executor of the trust for the Gould property, Mr. Averbach. We are planning to meet tomorrow to continue that discussion for, I guess, to kind of get through some of the confusion or overlap in expectations that's resulted from some of the dialogue. Want to make sure, as we have since the beginning in dialogue with the Averbachs, to make sure that we're aligned on our understanding of all of the contract language, including the deed restriction. So I don't know, I can't tell you really what to expect from that. I expect there will be an iterative process there of reaching alignment on that before further steps are taken on the Gould.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to come up to the podium with any comments?
Hi, my name is Shar Pelfrey, 5499 Mason Road. I've served 16 years on Mason City Council as Mason's mayor and Mason's vice mayor. I am extremely happy this evening that we have been told as of this evening that the Arts Council is going to be locating their Regional Arts Center in another location as opposed to Gould Park. That is extremely good news, but Gould Park is definitely not out of the woods when it comes to its future development, and we need to, as a family of neighbors and concerned residents, keep our eyes close upon this. But I wanted to provide just a little bit of background for those who are new to the SaveGouldPark.com movement. What you see in front of you is our QR code that takes you directly to the SaveGouldPark.com website. And that website is definitely not political. It hosts just important documents about, it has the deed restrictions, it has covenants, it has different plans that the city has had over the years. And I invite anybody who has any interest to scan that code and get onto the website. So the SaveGouldPark.com movement is growing quickly, and we feel it's important to keep our story and our core beliefs and concerns in front of council, our community, and beyond the tri-state. And I am jumbling my notes because until just this moment, we did not know that the Arts Center was not in front of us, and I definitely had things to say, so bear with me. Save Gould Park was formed in June when it came to our attention that Vice Mayor Nelson incorporated and formed a private not-for-profit, the Mason Arts Council. That's why we formed. We had no idea that this was going to happen, even though it was discussed originally in 2020. And that Gould Park was offered to them for this Regional Arts Center. Know that the Regional Arts Center is bigger than this building. It's huge. So imagine putting that in our neighborhoods without us knowing. We were beyond upset. So Gould Park is a 50-acre historic parcel of land located just 2 blocks west of Mason's downtown on West Main Street. It was farmed by the Gould family for several generations, sold to the Gould family by Mason's founder's granddaughter, William Mason. When Richard Gould passed away in 2003, Eleanor, his wife, approached the city for the purchase of her property, only if she got the assurance that her beloved parkland would forever remain green and passive. Mason Council agreed to the restrictions and purchased Gould Park for $1.8 million. The following year, in '24, Mason Council commissioned the Mason Parks Master Plan, and Gould Park was a part of it. I served on one of those committees. We work extensively to propose a beautiful park that is highlighted all of Eleanor's wishes, things that she wanted, things that we wanted, things that we want today. The plan is on the city's website and is utilized, very importantly, it's utilized even today as the resource for home buyers and HOAs whenever the future of Gould Park is in question. The Save Gould Park movement is growing rapidly and with intensity, and we want our community to know why we formed, and we're asking for your help to hold this council accountable to not just take an arts center off of it, but to put the park as Eleanor Gould desired for that, and the city agreed to by covenants. The Gould Park is the premier 50 acres of historic and very green space and is legally protected by a contract and deed restriction of passive park with, and I quote, "no buildings, structures, or fences forever, except for the maintenance, such as restrooms, shelters, parking, casual ball fields, hiking paths, notoriety to the likely Hopewell Indian Mound that sits right in the middle of that property." We want just this type of park. It's 9 years overdue from the last contract, and we believe that in 2023, this thing needs to go in the budget, and we need to see this thing come to fruition for our community. Eleanor Gould understood and legally bequeathed this beautiful parcel to Mason, believing that green space to walk and run and play and explore with our children and breathe fresh air is more important than the urban sprawl of a massive regional arts center. That's not going there now, thankfully, and a 500 parking lot that would have crowded our downtown streets and crippled us and our neighborhoods. Yes,
Ms. Pelfrey, your allotted time has come to an end. Will you allow time for our next guest, please?
thank you. See SaveGoldPark.com for the rest. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else would like to come up to the podium? And I'll just remind everybody, we do have another recognition of visitors at the end of the meeting if there's anyone else that thinks of something during that time. Yes.
Good evening, I'm Kim Ward, 5505 Mason Road. I thank you for changing this and moving it to another place. I really do thank you. I want to tell you the stress that you all have put us through. I'm 65 years old and I'm walking the streets putting flyers out to residents. I'm trying my best to understand why you all thought that that was a good place. I need to know that the gold property is taken off of the Millionaire Mile. It should not be there. It should be a passive park. We're asking that you put it into the financials for 2023 and make it happen. But even more than that, I'm discouraged with some of you on council. Very discouraged. Mr. Chance isn't here, but I have a lot of questions for him, and I want to do it on tape. So I will be at the next meeting to ask my questions. But even more than that, the way that you all have approached this has been not right. And for you to just, okay, let's pass it, move it on, and not acknowledge what you have put us through really upsets me. I think some of you should not be on council. I think that when you have committees and you take off Councilwoman Grossman and Council Gentleman Bradburn from that, that is not right. And even more than that, you put the committee head of the downtown committee, Mr. Chance. Is that correct, Barbara? Who is the
I'm
head?
not sure what committee you're referring to that he's the head of.
Downtown.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Is he the head of it?
Yes, he's the chair.
Okay. He has been buying property all around there. And I'm going to make sure it's on his Ohio information for disclosures. Have you checked his disclosures, Mayor?
It's not really appropriate for us to go back and forth, but I'm not going to answer that question at this time. It's for you to give us input, and that's what recognition.
I'm asking you to check it and make sure that all of the properties for eco investments, which he is a part of, is checked out. Because if they're not on there, I'm going to the committee. So I'm asking you to check that. Will you please check that?
I honestly don't think that's my position to check that. I think that
Who is
the
it?
citizen, if you want to check that, you can do that. But if you want to answer this,
It's the role of the Ohio Ethics Commission.
Okay. That he has to do his disclosure every year, correct? Yes. And who do I ask to make sure? Do you check that?
No, I do not. They're required to file that with the Ohio Ethics Commission.
Okay, so nobody checks that these things are being done.
The Ohio Ethics Commission.
Okay, but none of you check that, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I will be checking that, and I will make sure that that all is on there. The question is, Mayor, why did you take off these two people from their committees?
again, it's not, we can have a conversation outside of this meeting. This
No,
is
I
not
want
a-
it on tape.
It's not an appropriate time, and I'll have,
That's not, this is the time for residents to address council. You have 5
I
minutes.
am addressing.
It's not a dialogue. It's for residents to address, you have 5 minutes to address council.
Okay.
And you can use that time however you see fit.
And I'm-
Not the,
yeah.
it's not the time for council to engage in a back and forth.
Okay, when is the time for us to engage in back?
I'll be glad to meet with you outside council if you want to have that conversation,
Yes, I really do, and I want to also have witnesses with me.
certainly.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to come up to the podium? Okay, we're going to move on then to item number 8, which is Resolution 2022-24. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Declaring October as Mason Manufacturing Month.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian. I'm sorry, there you are.
Thank you, Mayor Spaeth and members of City Council. Tonight I'm here to present the resolution to declare October as Mason Manufacturing Month. For a number of years, Mason has celebrated educational opportunities with our manufacturing community. And this is the first Friday of October and throughout October. So Mason Manufacturing Month and National Manufacturing Month is in October. Manufacturers in our community, manufacturing in our community is an important topic for economic development. About 700,000 Ohioans are employed in the manufacturing field, and that represents about 17% of Ohio's gross domestic product. More importantly, it is anticipated in the next 10 years, about 4 million jobs in the manufacturing field will need to be filled in the United States. So throughout the year, and especially during this month, the City of Mason, along with our manufacturing partners, focus on finding opportunities to engage and educate our youth and the next generation of workers in our community. So this year, as in the past, many of our manufacturing partners are engaged in this effort with a goal to promote and to teach the importance and excitement around innovation in the City of Mason, around Ohio, and the nation. So with that, Resolution 2022-24, it recognizes October as Mason Manufacturing Month in Mason and is recommended for adoption.
Okay, thank you, Brian. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Any council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn.
Yes.
Okay, item 9, Resolution 2022-25. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Proclaiming the week of October 9th through the 15th, 2022 as National Fire Prevention Week.
Oh, is Lieutenant? Okay, I'm sorry, Lieutenant Brian Shaw, I believe, is here to discuss this. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, Council, for allowing me to be here tonight. I'm coming to discuss Fire Prevention Week, which is October 9th. This year's theme is Fire Won't Wait, Plan Your Escape. With that, we want to remind residents today's homes burn faster than due to modern construction. Sadly, individuals may only have as little as 2 minutes to escape. With that, the Mason Fire Department would like to encourage residents to plan your escape route, test your smoke alarms, choose an outside meeting place, and practice those drills in the home. With it being Fire Prevention Week, we had an open house on Sunday and had about 125 residents stop by to enjoy visiting the firehouse, meeting with the firefighters who protect and serve. We are also going to be doing a smoke detector blitz where we will be in the neighborhoods, the Manhasset Village and Mason Heights area. We'll be going door to door, checking to make sure that residents have smoke detectors, working smoke detectors, and answer any questions. With that, I'd like to have council adopt Resolution 2022-25.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey.
Yes.
Okay, item 10, Resolution 2022-26. I believe, Jeff, you're going to read this resolution, is that correct? Okay.
Resolution 2022-26, recognizing October as Hindu Heritage Month in Mason. Whereas Hinduism is the third largest religion in the world and more than 1 billion followers worldwide, 6 million in the United States and 11,000 in Ohio. And whereas during the month of October, the culture, history, traditions, achievements, and contributions of Hindus are recognized and celebrated throughout the United States. And whereas American Hindus have made numerous positive contributions in all aspects of society, from science and business to politics and spirituality. And whereas Ohio's vibrant American Hindu community has contributed tremendously to the vitality of the state and enriched the lives of its citizens. And whereas Hindus strive to achieve Dharma, which is a code of living that emphasizes good conduct and morality. And whereas during October, the American Hindu community will collectively celebrate its heritage by focusing on its culture and the diverse spiritual traditions rooted in India. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Mason, Ohio, members elected thereto concurring, Section 1, that the Council of the City of Mason hereby recognizes October as Hindu Heritage Month in Mason. Section 2, that this resolution shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period allowed by law.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. And I believe we have a guest in the audience that's going to come speak to this. Is that correct? And I'm sorry, Eric, could you please, I'm sorry.
Ms. Vishaka Manik.
Okay, please come to the podium.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and thank you for reading the resolution. I pretty much have a similar thing to just, as a readout for you all. Good evening, everyone. My name is Vishaka Manik, and I reside at 5596 Winding Cape Way, Mason, Ohio, 45040. I immigrated to the United States of America about 30 years ago, and have lived in Mason ever since then, and I love Mason. Mason is an awesome city to raise children and live here, so I'm very blessed. For the first time in our nation, more than 20 states, including Ohio, and over 50 cities, including Mason, had declared October 2021 as Hindu Heritage Month. So for this year also, we are requesting that the Mason City Council declare October 2022 as Hindu Heritage Day, and thank you for that. American Hindus have been a significant part of the national mosaic for more than about 8 decades. It is estimated that there are about 6 million Hindus in the US, or about 2% of the US population. There are several million more Americans who have incorporated one or more Hindu practices in their lives. For example, yoga, meditation, Ayurveda, and homeopathy, stuff like that. Hindus started migrating in significant numbers to the USA in mid-1900s. The majority have immigrated to the US from India, with the rest being from Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Indonesia, Africa, United Kingdom, Trinidad and Tobago, and Pakistan. In addition, there are thousands of Hindus who were forced to seek refuge to the USA from countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bhutan. Hindus are law-abiding and peaceful in nature. We have excelled in every field: science, technology, engineering, medicine, business, space, exploration, etc. We have also started businesses, creating jobs, and joined the armed forces to defend our great nation. Hindus today form one of the highest earning and educated religious minorities in our nation. Now, the second and third generation American Hindus are carrying forward their parents' and grandparents' cultural tradition of education and hard work to continue to make our nation even stronger and maintain our eminent position on the global stage. Our beliefs, values, and everything about us is expressed by the word Hindutva. Hindutva literally means the essence of being a Hindu. It epitomizes self-reliance, freedom of choice, and the essence of responsibility towards our nation and its future. We believe in oneness for all, and truth is one, is exemplified by two Sanskrit words, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, which means literally the whole world is our one family. Therefore, we respect and accept all faiths and believe in living in harmony and mutual respect with all people of different faiths and races. We request that you join us in celebrating and recognizing October 2022 as the Hindu Heritage Month. Further, we are requesting that if any issue concerning Hindus arise, then the Mason City Council will collaborate with us for a swift and peaceful resolution. On behalf of Hindus in Mason and Greater Cincinnati area, we thank you for your time and the opportunity to express our views. We would also like to invite you all, to all the council members and the public, to learn about Diwali, sponsored by the Mason City Schools Hindu families with support from Mason City Schools DEI Council at the Mason High School Commons Room. Thank you so much for your attention. Really appreciate that.
Well, thank you, and please just stay there if you will. Okay, I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any council discussion? Yes.
May we ask, do we need to do anything to register for that event?
No, you just come in. It's at 6 p.m. Please come in with all your family members, any friends who are interested to learn more about Diwali. There will be volunteers from the high school and their parents who will be going through everything and explaining to you what's happening. You know, there will be lots of food, lots of Indian food if you like that. And you will learn about the significance of Diwali and how it's celebrated in different parts of India, because as you know, India has a lot of states and they have different cultures too. So, you know, you will be learning what different state does and how they do it, you know. And basically it's, you know, the bringing in positivity and removing darkness from our lives and things like that. So it'll be interesting. Please come.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Yeah, I'm just curious. We had an event here in the city building a few months back.
Yes.
That I was privileged to be a part of.
Yes, we saw you, Mr. Mackey. Yes.
So is this a similar idea? Is this the?
It's organized by the same group of people. You may see some of them here in our audience. Mr. Kelker was part of that group. And yes, it is similar to that.
Okay, so I would just like to encourage anyone who's listening to attend this. That was one of the most amazing experiences, being able to look outside at a different culture, different ways of looking at things. It was very enlightening and very, very friendly and open. So, so I want to thank you guys again. I don't think I got to thank you personally in the chamber last time. I think you had left before I got to speak, but I just love what you're doing, what you stand for, and what you're representing within our community. So
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have a comment? Okay, let's have roll call.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Okay, and we do have the resolution that we want to give to you, so I'm going to invite all of council to come up, and we're going to take a picture with you, okay?
You afraid America's Most Wanted? See that?
That's why I look down a lot.
Okay, moving right along here, we're to item number 11, which is Ordinance 2022-99. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Rack and Blower Excavating Company, Inc. for the City of Mason Municipal Aquatic Center Parking and Draining Improvements Project in the amount of $764,485.
Okay, Kurt.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a project that combines updates to the new Aquatic Center's parking lot with a drainage improvement that's needed just right adjacent to it in Nixon Park. Updates to the parking lot include adding medians. Currently, the parking lot is all just one paved surface, so it'll add medians to comply with our own landscape code. It includes adding sidewalks, some connections to the parking lots, more defined crosswalks, as well as lighting. The current parking lot does not have any lighting. And the drainage issues are really where the water comes off of the ball fields there at Nixon Park, drains really at the bend in the road there and washes it out. So both projects were in the budget this year. We had $870,000 for the project. We had 5 bidders, and as Jeff said, Rack and Baller was the low bid at just over $764,000. So with that, with the approval of this ordinance, we expect that the completion date, most of the work will take place in the spring, but some of the items that we need to install, specifically the electric items, will have a longer completion date just because of the long lead time. So we expect a completion date for it totally be done late summer of next year. But the majority of the work should be done before that. Ordinance 2022-99 is recommended for adoption. I'll answer any questions that you have.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? I need a motion to adopt.
Moved?
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula.
Yes.
Okay, item 12, ordinance 2022-100. Motion to read by title only, please.
So moved?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone, I'm sorry, anyone opposed? No. Okay. Jeff, I think you have this one.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with the Center for Public Safety Excellence for the development of the fire department strategic plan and declaring an emergency.
Okay, Eric.
Yes, Mayor, there is quite a story here, several pages. I'm going to try and condense that all down, but it's going to mean simplifying several things. The fire department, it's approaching its 25th anniversary, actually. And I think if you look at the history, which you have a lot of details in your packet, over those 25 years, we've had a number of different studies at critical junctures to help the department evolve into the department that we have today. Three of the main things that, when you see that kind of trajectory that we dealt with, fire stations, kind of the basis of the service, where they're located, as well as the number. Staffing has been an ongoing evolution since the beginning, moving from a volunteer/part-time department to a professional full-time department. And then funding. Early in the department, probably the first half of the department, how it was funding, what the combination of revenues were. That was finally, voters adopted a model that has seen the department evolve and maintain financial stability. So it's, when you look at kind of big picture, especially if those of us that watched it grow, it is quite a story of taking a department that kind of came upon the city suddenly as the newest department and has evolved into one of the professional standard services that the city provides. We're nearing one of those critical junctures again. Growth is, when you look at the last 25 years, the number of calls, both EMS as well as fire, that the department responds to has grown dramatically. The one way we have begun to address that, and has had some success but needs to continue to evolve, is the third medic. Began as kind of a pilot program. Council authorized full staffing of that. Getting the staffing acquired, trained, up and running. That third medic is having a positive influence on response times. And I think we'll continue to set the department up as we continue to improve how we handle that growth. The Safety Committee has met several times this year to discuss these strategies and kind of forecasting the needs of the department into the future after our first 25 years and looking out really for the next 25 years. And there's two things that have, I think, dominated that discussion as items we should aim for. One is, and there's a lot of detail could go into this, but many folks may be familiar with the ISO rating. It's essentially a rating on your fire service and how well it is positioned to provide fire response times and protection to the residents and businesses of Mason. Mason has a rating of 3, which ranks in the top 15% of fire departments. There's room for improvement on that, however. The ISO rating is directly related to insurance premiums. That's basically how the insurance industry rates what they would charge for coverage. One of the key pieces of that we've been aware of for several years is that fire stations are located strategically to handle the response times. So where a fire truck is responding from, if it's available, and how that covers in a rapid enough time frame the area of the city it's responsible for. In addition to the ISO rating, which is a process and several standards and calculations go through, have talked about the International Fire Accreditation Model. Police have enjoyed for many years now being an accredited department that holds them to standards of professionalism and how they provide and protect the city's interests. I think the fire department has now reached the point where looking at fire accreditation and measuring themselves against national benchmarks to be one of the top departments in the city by those benchmarks is appropriate. In both of those elements that we're looking at, so both the ISO rating and accreditation, developing a long-term strategic plan, a formal strategic plan that's adopted, is key to following both of those models as well as evolving the department. The committee has talked about that, and as a result, Council adopted Resolution 2211 in May to emphasize Council's support of moving forward with the development of that formal strategic plan. Since that time, staff, and fire department in particular, have been soliciting, reviewing proposals for services to help with strategic planning consultants. What has resulted from that is the Center for Public Safety Excellence, CPSE, offered the most appropriate level of consulting work as well as at the best possible price. They offer a number of advantages, which includes a lot of experience in both of those elements, working with departments across the country, as well as they, as part of that pricing, they're able to assist in conducting what's called a community risk assessment / standard of cover, which is both required by the fire accreditation model and recognized as an industry best practice to help identify those levels of service that the community expects from fire and EMS. With all that, this is a process. That process begins after that strategic plan is put together, and that can take 6 to 12 months. It's a pretty rigorous process of on-site folks coming in, both training, assessing, meeting with different providers, everything from water services to electric, a number of things that need to be evaluated to put together that plan. What is hoped for is out of that thoughtful, intensive process, we begin providing both the documents, the background, and to provide guidance both for the community, ultimately for council, in determining both the number and the location of investments in future fire stations, as well as advancing the staffing models that the city has pursued over the last several years. All that being said, it is recommended that a contract with the Center for Public Safety Excellence for those services be entered into. They gave us an attractive price of $56,000 for those services. We provide a small amount of contingency on those to account for unforeseen needs as we go through that process. It is requested an emergency clause be entered into so we can initiate the contract as soon as possible and begin that work. Again, that's kind of foundational work that we expect will set the expectations and guide us to the next 25 years of the department's existence. It is recommended for adoption.
Okay, thank you. All right, I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth.
Yes. Okay, item 13, ordinance 2022-101, a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Kings Ford, Inc. for the purchase of 5 Ford pickup trucks in a not-to-exceed amount of $275,000 and declaring an emergency.
Okay, Jennifer?
Yes, Mayor, members of council, if you don't mind, I'd like to cover the next 3 pieces of legislation. I know at several council meetings over this past year, we've spoken about our difficulties or our challenges in securing vehicles and equipment, and those challenges still remain out there today. Fortunately, we are in a much better position than a number of other communities, and that's because we have been able to build up, over a number of years, build up a contingency fund, and that's providing us flexibility where we align our purchases and new equipment that arise more closely when there are costly repairs or the actual useful life of that vehicle, and when we've gotten the most of that useful life we can. So while funds are available, actually placing the order and securing and purchasing the equipment is where our challenge is and where it's very difficult. We have had many examples just this last year where supply chain and shortages of resources are creating situations in which we struggle to obtain new equipment. Most prominently, last year, we ordered 2 new police cruisers. Delivery of those vehicles were postponed this year twice, and all indications right now is those vehicles will hopefully arrive in December. That's over a year since they were ordered. This year, 2 pickups were included in the 2022 budget. Before we could even authorize legislation and place the order, the Ford order bank closed, and there are no more vehicles allowed or that could even be ordered. Fortunately, we retained the vehicles that were supposed to be surplus in the city's fleet, and we have continued using this equipment as scheduled. What has also occurred during this time is we have added additional staff over the years, and some of the pieces of equipment that would normally be surplused out, we have retained and used those in daily operations for that additional staff. These 2 practices can no longer continue. These vehicles, most of the vehicles are well beyond their useful life. Many are in need of significant costly repairs, and they have become unsafe. Another example of equipment challenges, earlier this year, council approved legislation to purchase a new wing mower, if you recall. While the order was placed, the manufacturer canceled that order. What is before you tonight are several pieces of legislation. Ordinance 2022-101 authorizes the purchase of 5 Ford pickup trucks. 2 of these were included as part of the 2022 budget, and 3 that were going to be proposed as part of the 2023 budget. The order bank for these vehicles is anticipated to open on October 17th, but due to the back order or backlog of orders that we know exists out there from other municipalities, we expect that to close the very day it opens. So we need to be in line to be able to make that purchase as quickly as possible. If the city's order for the vehicle is not placed that day, the next opportunity will likely not occur until fall of next year or late next year, which means we would not receive any vehicles until 2024. Also, as part of the 2023 budget, the staff were proposing the replacement of 2 Chevy Tahoe police vehicles that are aging out. The city has received word that Gangley Chevrolet in Aurora has 2 Tahoes currently available, and that's pretty incredible. What they learned is they knew that order bank was closing or had some knowledge of it, and they went ahead and ordered a number of different vehicles, hoping that they eventually would be able to get rid of them. They have indicated to us they have 2 available. Again, based upon the current environment of vehicles, authorizing the purchase of these vehicles at this time would be prudent. Once they are delivered, they'll remain in our pool of vehicles, and as the Tahoes that are currently being used really reach their end of the useful life or they have a significant repair, then we'll move them to frontline service. Ordinance 2022-103 authorizes the purchase of a wing mower. In fact, this ordinance really simply replaces the previous ordinance, 2021-179, where the manufacturer canceled that order. John Deere has resumed production of this mower with a lead time of 6 months. So we're hoping we're going to get this by next spring when the growing season is in full force. We recognize this is highly unusual for us to be requesting equipment purchases now for items that would be included in next year's budget. But the vehicles and equipment environment right now is highly unusual, something many of us haven't seen in all of our careers working for a municipality. The Finance Committee has reviewed these purchases and is recommending Ordinance 2022-101, 102, and 103 for adoption with the addition of emergency clause. Again, we want to try to hit that order bank when it opens on October 17th and be in a position to place our orders when we can. We also know, as I indicated, significant lead times to a number of these pieces of equipment. Whatever we can get in our inventory now is good for us and good for our continuity of services. So with that, I'm recommending Ordinance 2022-101, 102, and 103 for adoption. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bradburn.
Abstain?
Councilmember Hackey.
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman.
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula.
Yes.
Mayor Spate.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson.
Yes.
Okay, item 14, ordinance 2022-102. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Ganley Chevrolet of Aurora LLC for the purchase of 2 Chevrolet Tahoe police package vehicles in a not-to-exceed amount of $90,000 and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Any council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hackey.
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman.
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula.
Yes.
Mayor Spate.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson.
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn.
Yes.
Okay, item 15, ordinance 2022-103. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Deere and Company for the purchase of one John Deere 1600 wide area mower in the amount of $71,303 and declaring an emergency.
Okay, I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
Second?
Okay, any council discussion?
Mayor,
Yes.
I suggest we correct it. It's not the year 2002, but it's 2022 at the top of the ordinance, 103.
Did I say it incorrectly?
No,
No.
it's printed wrong.
Where is it?
Just on the title, it's a typo. That'll be fixed.
Title.
Oh, actually, on the actual warrant. Okay, I apologize.
you-
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Any other council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Okay, item 16, ordinance 2022-104, a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a cooperative agreement with the Warren County Board of County Commissioners regarding victim witness coordinator services in the annual amount of $50,000.
Okay, Eric?
Thank you, Mayor. Quickly, historically, the county prosecutor has provided victim witness coordinator services for municipal courts. They're obligated to have them within the county. And the city has enjoyed the benefit of that. Earlier this year, the county prosecutor reached out to the city as part of their planning process. Both the growth and the expense of providing this service has increased, and the city's contribution to those services has not increased since 2013. They're requesting an increase of $20,000 to that annual cost for a total of $50,000 in this agreement between the city and the county providing victim witness coordinator services. The agreement is ongoing at this annual cost of $50,000. This is a service to the city of Mason we would be obligated to provide and able to do that through the prosecutor at a lower cost by using economies of scale throughout the county, is therefore recommended for agreement or approval.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Motion to adopt.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn? Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Okay, item number 17, ordinance 2022-105. I need a motion to read by title only, please. Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff.
Authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement not to exceed $40,201 with the Warren County Soil and Water Conservation District for the 2023 education, inspection, and associated services necessary to meet the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination, Npdes, Phase 2 requirements.
Okay, Kurt.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Annually since 2004, the city has worked with Warren County Soil and Water Conservation District to meet a couple of our requirements required by Ohio EPA. This is included in the best management practices that we're required to meet. And what this means is they help us inspect public and private infrastructure that's while it's under construction to keep erosion from happening, from filling up those storm pipes and getting to the creek. So private sites would be something like a convenience store that's under construction that has catch basins in the parking lot. Public infrastructure would be like our catch basins or storm inlets that are in public streets that we then maintain on an annual basis. Prior to resurfacing streets, we do repairs to those. And then they also help us inspect by looking at detention basins. We have hundreds of basins literally in the city, again, both public and private that we maintain. Some of the public ones
And then the private ones are a lot of times HOAs. They'll give recommendations for maintenance to those structures to help save costs in the future before the maintenance gets much more costly. This agreement with Warren County allows us to to meet the EPA best management practices at the lowest cost to taxpayers, and it contributes to a full-time staff member at the district that helps us to provide these services. The 2022 budget included the city's contribution for this program. We have talked with them in the past about doing a multi-year contract. However, annually they don't know how much funding they'll get from the state, and our costs are then offset by that funding. So with that, Ordinance 2022-105 is recommended for adoption, and I'll answer any questions you have.
All right, thanks, Kurt. Motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? I need a motion to adopt.
So move.
Second.
Okay. Any council discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula.
Yes.
Okay, item 18, committee reports. Does anyone have a committee report? No committee reports? Okay. Item 19 is old and new business. Does anybody have any old and new business?
Mayor?
Yes.
To Kurt, I know we signed or authorized Duke to put streetlights up on Bethany and Hamilton Mason Road. Do we know where that stands? I know you said they were, I won't say dragging their feet, but they had some type of issues.
Right, we asked them to put a plan together and get us a price, which I believe we have a plan. We're waiting on the price for that. And then once we have that, that'd be something that we'd bring to council to authorize.
It's only been about a year.
Yeah,
Okay, well, I'm glad that they hook up Florida faster than they put streetlights up. Okay, we'll go on from there, but that's not Duke. The other one, I know sometime back, maybe last year, we authorized for a wing plow. And as I recall, they couldn't provide it to us. Are we gonna throw that back in the budget for 2023 to see if we can get one, if it's available?
it's coming.
Huh?
It was authorized, it's ordered, and it should be delivered. We're not going to promise when, but should
Okay,
be.
the last I thought I heard was that maybe it was just a real long delivery time.
Oh, it's been a real long time.
Yeah, okay.
There was
And then
certain-
in the streetlights, obviously, I think it's a real benefit to the residents, especially on the pathways that we have throughout the city. We're putting some more up on Bethany. I guess maybe we need to revisit that. And then maybe also revisit, as you know, with our recent annexations, there's some areas that could use some street lighting, say on Mason Morrow Mill Grove Road and up 42. Can't think of the subdivision. Councilman Stricula, I think you live in Ambleside, yes, okay. Kind of sparse, as I recall, in fact, probably non-existent. And that is on 42.
Yeah, is it
Yeah.
okay if I, 42, it's pretty sparse right through there.
Okay. Maybe some type of a little study from engineering to give us some type of recommendation on what might be needed in those areas that are not going to be covered by the streetscape lighting that we're putting in some locations. And I think that's all I have for right now. Okay.
I'm sorry, does anybody else have any old and new business?
Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, I would just like to, and I hate to belabor the point, and I hope you'll indulge me on this. I want to go back to the discussions earlier on the Gould property, just briefly, and address a couple of comments. You know, one thing that I would hope you guys all understand, I'm also a resident of Mason. I moved here 20 years ago, and one of the first things that I noticed, we do have a wonderful city, but we have room to improve, and there are things that we need to do. The downtown area is one of those, and I'm very, very devoted to doing it, but doing it responsibly. I also want to address your concerns about the stress that this puts you under. That was never the intent. This isn't about getting a feather in my cap. This isn't about some big grandiose plan so that I can sail off into the sunset and say, look what I did. This is about trying to make the city that I live in, that I care about, better. We were given a couple of options. We were told that those were the properties that were being considered and that there was a study done to see what it would take to do it on one of those two properties. That's the information I had. So that's what I worked with. We came to you, we asked the questions, and we heard what you said. And I apologize if that caused you stress. That was never the intent. Yes, there are some shortcomings to putting it on that property, but of the two properties, based on the information I was given, that made more sense to me than putting it over on Corwin-Nixon. That's all. Your concerns, I'll be perfectly honest, the things that really struck me were the people who spoke last time who said, I did some research prior to buying my home, and I bought based on the information that property, and I believe that was your comments last time. That really struck a chord with me. That is one of the things that made me really step back and consider this. Concerns about children. I know we had one lady talk about there was an issue with a bus and a vehicle. That struck a chord with me. This is all about looking for ways to improve our community. And we have to look at this from a rational point of view. I understand and I knew there were people that would be opposed to it. There's no question about it. But we heard a gentleman last time say he was opposed to the municipal or the community center. The community center is a great amenity for our city. There were people opposed to that. So that's just things that we have to weigh. We have to look at, are there things that the greater community are going to benefit from, even if there are a few people that are against it. Now, I'm not saying that we just ignore those things. Obviously, we didn't ignore them. I promised you we would take this back into committee and look at this and look at other options, and that's exactly what we did. So again, if we caused you concerns, if we caused you any aggravation, I apologize. That was never the intent. The intent is to move our city forward, and that's exactly what I plan to do. So, thanks, Mayor.
Okay, anybody else have anything that they would like to say for old and new business? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. I do. The first thing I'd like to say is the dog park opening was very cool. It was a beautiful day. And of course, we've had some dry weather, so that made the grass and everything wonderful for the dogs. They had a great time. We missed Councilmember Bradburn, but he was recognized for his hard work and his passion at bringing a dog park to the city of Mason, and it really is a beautiful amenity, and I hope you can bring your furry friends out there to enjoy it with your family. It's really very nice. There's some things to be added to it, but anyway, I think it's wonderful that Councilmember Bradburn brought that idea to the city, and staff had been thinking about it too, but it really came together this year. I'm very grateful for that. Also, I'd like to thank the Safety Committee, and I think Councilmember Bradburn, you had a lot to do with this too. I want to thank the Safety Committee and our staff for the thorough overview of the Fire Department strategic plan development that you are undertaking. Your overview is very carefully and very technically considered and written out for us so that we could understand how you've been preparing for that. And it looks like you've contracted a great value for that service as well. And I just want to remind the public how safety is job number one for us, and we have to fund it. And we have to be looking forward. And that's something that's vision and expertise that Member Bradburn brought to us in his first round as a council member in the early 2000s. And he's continuing today, or at least Yeah, he did, because he's still on the safety committee, I believe. All right, the last item that I have is a request for a work session. Mayor, in our last meeting, you promised we would have a work session on the Chapter 125 refit, and I haven't heard anything about it. Where are we at with that?
We haven't set a date yet.
When will we be shooting for?
Well, as you know, I have to work with the city manager, so we will get a date on that.
Okay, well, we talked about it. We haven't heard anything about you guys discussing it or anything. I'd like to have it in November if we can.
Up to you.
If
Well,
We
if
can
it's up to
start-
the city manager, I'm asking the city manager, can we schedule it in November so that we can get going on it? Because as you said, this is government. Government takes a while.
Well, it's ultimately up to council's schedules.
Yeah.
If you want to, I can send out some proposed dates. If generally thinking November, I will tell you November and December rapidly get complicated. We'll be working on the budget. And I know it always happens, our best laid ambitions wind up with lots of hit and misses because there's always lots of other events that you have in your private lives as well as council. If your desire is Monday, tomorrow, I will shop some dates out there.
Thank you. And I'd request too that we could have it in here with ICRC if possible.
Another variable we will
It is.
ignore.
Thank you.
Okay, do you have anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay, and I just want to just emphasize again about the opening of the Palmyra Dog Park, because it really looks nice. I don't have a dog, so I don't understand the whole thing about taking your dog out, but there's, and I'm not saying that sarcastically. I really, the park has a side for the large dogs and a side for the small dogs, and then a resting area. And I did say this tonight. I don't really understand what the resting area does. I know you explained it to me, but it really looks like, it's a great park for the dogs. And I do want to emphasize again, Councilmember Bradburn was instrumental in getting this pushed through, and I know he researched and gave ideas to staff, and it really looks wonderful. I know there's a few more things to add out there, but it really looks nice, and thank you to everyone who was involved with that. So,
Mayor-
I know you look like you wanted to explain the resting area. Do you want?
Well, Mayor, if I may, I think the resting area is for the grass. Okay, so dogs, with wet weather, the dogs will tear up an area. The grass needs to recover, so you shift them over to another field.
Okay.
Does that make sense now? Wasn't a resting area for the dogs because.
Well, I
Okay.
wasn't quite sure.
It was a resting area for the grass. And I think the other thing that we did in that committee was to make it handicap accessible.
Yes.
To allow people that do have a disability, that they can also enjoy it with their dogs out there. It's a big dog park, okay? We'll see how it goes. There are other things that could be added to make it nice. And I think one of the other things, and I know we have we don't have any, lighting out there, but obviously the sun sets about 5 o'clock in December. Parks close at dark, but still people need to get their dogs out. So maybe we'll look at this, say like the dog park would be open a couple hours past sunset in the winter, so people can get their dogs out during that time. Usually it's cold, they won't stay out long. I've frozen my you-know-what off with my mud out there. But, and it's a great way to meet people. I have yet to meet I guess I met one mean dog person out there, but the bottom line is, I think it's an amenity that the residents will use. Obviously, since it's now at the trailhead for the Little Miami Bike Trail, we'll be looking at things in the future. I know we're looking at, what do I say, a uniform restroom design for restrooms in our facilities that could possibly go out there. No, I am not advocating for a swimming pool, okay? Okay, now, okay. You can pay me the $5 later, Eric. No, obviously, I have seen Fairfield and Fairfield. It's really nice, but you better get there the first day or two. That water gets kind of dirty, okay? So no, I'm not advocating for a swimming pool for the dogs. But if a majority of council says they want to do it, I guess it's a different story. But we'll see what it goes. I think people will enjoy it. And I think I heard something about maybe they're going to put some mulch out there or wood chips, so on and so forth, as an entryway to keep the mud down. But everybody should go out and enjoy it, and I think it'll get a lot of use. I really do. So how many have dogs on council? What? How many have dogs? Okay, there you go. We'll see you out there.
Also tonight, the police officers had the canines out there, and they were doing demonstrations on how the canines sniff out like drugs or evidence or, you know, whatever they're locating, and that was pretty interesting. I said, how do they know what smell to go for? Like, I don't get that sometimes, but anyway. So, okay, anybody else have anything that they want to say? Okay. So we are to item 20, recognition of visitors. Did anybody else want to come back up to the podium and say anything? Okay.
Hi, Lori Shue Trump, 5347 Wheatmore. Again, thank you for the words that you're going to remove Gould Park from the Regional Arts Center. I just have to express that maybe we won a battle, but not the war. Because of the way that this was handled. Your conversation started in 2020, and this is 2022, and we just recently heard about it. So I had people coming out, approaching me privately that wanted to support this, but needed to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation. And I think that's very disturbing that they were fearing facing city council to support a green space. I don't know the background of that. I hope to look into it a little bit more because you guys represent the community, and to have people fear standing up for our community that's just very disturbing to me. So I don't know what the retaliation was, but they came and I'm like, I just want to save this green space. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know what that's about. I hope to look into it, but I really want you to know that we heard you, but I'm going to sleep with one eye open regarding Gould Park. And just remember that council's discussions regarding Gould Park began in 2020. Mason residents and the contiguous neighbors were not notified of the contract's violation and breach from 2004 plan that we confidently trusted on the city's website until the summer of this year. This lack of transparency should have never occurred by our elected officials. I feel like if it was presented to this Regional Arts Council, what's to stop it from being presented again to some other development? Council offered several parcels of prime land to the Mason Arts Council and agreed to freely donate millions in infrastructure to them. What precedent does this now set to other worthy charities in Mason? Our veterans, children's services, youth services? Council's Finance Committee, of which Mr. Strickla is chair, did not and has not required any financial guarantees from the, I know it's now defunct MAC project, but you allowed them to you're going to allow them to fundraise without understanding what the city expects of them. This inexcusable misstep puts our city forever at risk for subsidizing with our tax dollars, regardless of where you put this Mason Area Arts Council. It tax dollars is massive buildings maintenance and operations if they were to fall short of their financial obligations. A reckless and inexcusable action for even a novice politician. We need to hold you accountable. Yes, you said you're not going to consider Gould property for the Regional Arts Center, but we need to hear you're not going to consider it for anything other than what the Gould family, the Averbach family wanted it, the 2003 agreement, and that 2004 master plan. That's what we need the commitment for.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else want to come back up to the podium?
Please don't start my time until I figure out this screen again. Thank you. As we're saying, and I want to explain to those in the audience and then those that are listening, we do appreciate that the Regional Arts Center is not on Gould Park, but Gould Park is not out of the woods yet, and you are looking at the reason why. This is the Mason Mile, the infamous Mason Mile, and as what you see is a circle with the Mason Library in the center, and right here is oddly Gould Park. That is included in the Mason Mile, Council has supported this, and I won't show you, but I have the document here, the executive summary from the Chamber of Commerce that says, and I'm reading, they're aiming for 1,400 households and 60,000 square feet of downtown shopping and entertainment. Please look at this and tell me where that would go, except for Gould Park. So we do not feel confident that this is going to end the way that the talk has gone until we know this. And I'm going to ask Mr. Sturkula, as chair of the Finance Committee. We are asking, SaveGouldPark.com is asking you to put together a Finance Committee meeting. And in that Finance Committee meeting, put the Gould Park development and construction in the 2023 budget. And let us know when that meeting is, and there will be a lot of us to attend. And I don't know how much time I have left, but I do want to discuss what Mr. Hackey said and in addressing the crowd. This has been a nightmare for the Gould Averbeck family. They're older now. They didn't see this coming. They anticipated that this council would honor their contract, and they were knocked over when a regional arts center was going to be put on their beloved aunt and my dear friend their aunt Eleanor's property. And until we know, until this council holds themselves accountable and gives us that park, we will fight for as SaveGouldPark.com. So in closing, yes, it has been hard. It has been hard. There are a lot of committees in Save Gould Park. It's not just me and those that you see here. It goes deep. And we're waiting to see what you guys do. There's still legal options. We don't want to move that way. We don't want to move with petitions. We don't want any of that. We want peace in our community. But we are serious when we say, yes, it is about people, but it's also about a contract that the city signed back in 2003. We want you to honor that. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else want to get up and say anything? Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
because I know people want to do the next item on the agenda to adjourn, but if you'll indulge me, I'm going to ask if council would entertain a brief executive session to discuss with your legal counsel imminent and pending court action. And there will be no action taken afterwards. So if council would.
Is there a motion? Yeah. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Nelson? Yes. Councilmember Bradburn? Yes. Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula? Yes. Mayor Spaeth?
Yes. Okay, thank you all. Need a motion to reconvene into regular session? Is there a second? Second. Okay, all in favor? Yes. Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, now I need a motion to adjourn. Okay, all in favor? All right, thank you.